Hello, friends. Hello, friends. A tradition unlike any other.
Oh, my goodness. In your life, have you seen anything like that?
There it is! Adam Scott, a life changer. Mashed potato!
Here it comes.
Now, Druids, let's face it, nobody chooses to play from the rough. And thanks to our great new friends at Manscaped, maybe our listeners might never have to again, because the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0 has arrived, and I can tell you with all confidence, it's been a game changer for me these past few weeks. The ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Let's go through the Performance Package. It includes the Weed Whacker, up the nose, in the ears, increasingly relevant for people like me as the ears start to pile on. Never used something like the Crop Preserver before, but I'll never go back. A ball deodorant, straight out of the shower, dry yourself off, whack a little bit of this on the undercarriage, last the full day. Outstanding. The Crop Reviver, it's more of a, maybe you need a midday refresh. You've gone for a run at lunchtime, you've had a gym session, maybe you've just been hauling boxes in a bloody humid environment. A little bit of a spritz on the undercarriage, fresh as a daisy moving forward. And then finally, but most importantly, Druids, the best piece of kit in this Performance Pack 4.0, it is the Lawn Mower 4.0 trimmer. Have a listen to this. Music to my ears. This bit of kit, my friend, will transform your situation below the waist from looking like the second cut of rough at a US Open to a neatly trimmed fairway. Now, even better, Manscaped have thrown in 2 free gifts to the Performance Package. They are, have a look at these, the Manscaped boxes, outstanding. For those of you never have enough pairs. And of course, the Shed travel bag. You can neatly tuck everything away and take it on the road with you. Now, you can join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer just for our listeners. 20% off, free worldwide shipping with the code T. That's TEE. That's 20% off, free shipping all over the world at manscaped.com and use the code TEE. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for this incredibly important job with Manscaped. Trust me, fellas, your balls will thank you. The team at Cobra have introduced the new Air X franchise, the latest evolution of its popular lightweight club category. Continuing its focus on weight savings and forgiveness, Cobra's new Air X men's and women's drivers and fairways each boost an additional 8 grams of total weight savings. At just 277 grams, the Air X driver delivers a new level of lightweight performance to improve feel and maximize clubhead speed and distance for players like you and me, Druids, with just that moderate swing speed. Taking lightweight technology and super game improvement performance to a whole new level, the Air X driver and fairway woods are available right now. So for more information on the Air X range, you can visit cobragolf.com.au or drop into your nearest golf shop. This is the 19th Tee podcast. Kieran Marsh, Nathan Drudy back with you for another evening. Druid's a very special one as we officially preview the 150th Open Championship from the old course at St Andrews. I said it earlier in the week. My anticipation has continued to build. It is an incredibly special tournament when it comes back to the old course.
It's an incredibly special tournament each and every year, KM. It's grand final week, the biggest tournament in golf. I'm very excited to be here.
It's there's something. I mean, I take your point, and look, let me be really clear. I kind of said it, and I'm not walking back from it. I said it on Monday night that, you know, we've both been on the record. I'm a Masters man. You're an Open Championship man, and maybe I've softened somewhat that I'm a Open Championship at St Andrews, then Masters, then all other Open Championships. Maybe that's how I fall, but I don't know. I think as you, I don't know, maybe as you get older, maybe as you go on your journey as a golf fan, you realize there is no other place in the world from a golf perspective like the old course at St Andrews. We're really like the town of St Andrews. Obviously, most of the attention goes to the old course, but I think there's 7 courses around town. It is a unique place. It is a unique place where, you know, you'll see an incredible chapter of golf history written on Sunday and the following Sunday, there'll be people walking their dogs on the course. It's just it's a truly mythical piece of land, I think, and I'd urge people. I mean, it could not be in a more friendly time slot. Like there's truly no excuse. I think featured groups start from like 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So that's Eastern time, 1 p.m. for you. So there's no excuse. Work from home Thursday, Friday. Throw the KO on. However you're going to watch it. It will be, I think, for a variety of reasons, a group of 4 days from a golfing viewing perspective that'll stick in the memory for a long time.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm playing golf early Sunday morning so that I make sure that I'm home and poised and ready and got all my chores done and got my lunches ready for the week and the washing done by the time the golf starts later on. So no, I'm looking forward to it. It's a great week, as you said. It is. Yeah, it's the sweet spot. Once every however many years it is that we come back to the old course. The Open Championship crossed with the old course, as you mentioned last week, the Venn diagram. That is bang on for me at the old course. It's a course of reverence. It's a course of mystique. It's a course of skill. In a lot of ways, it's a course that's been bullied by modern day golf technology, but hopefully this week it's not going to be too bad. But we'll have a look at the weather in a minute. So.
What I'd also recommend is if you have the time, if you don't make it, take some time to read what you can, listen to what you can. There's a lot of good content out this week about the old course, and I think it's important. It will enhance your viewing experience across the 4 days. It's not to take anything away from other courses that host the Open Championship, but there is no other place like it. And I think it's important to recognize and maybe acknowledge that when you're watching it, that it's a truly unique piece of land. And if you can, I mean, I've listened to a couple of great episodes of the Fried Egg Golf podcast. Andy Johnson does a wonderful job. He's a architecture nuffy, so he did a whole episode with Tom Doak about the old course, which is awesome to listen to. Just consume what you can around the course, because we only see it every 5 years. In my opinion, the next best course in the world is Augusta National, and we get to see that every 12 months. And we're fortunate and we're so lucky that that's the case. This course we see every 5 years, and it probably changes dramatically in between, remarkably, which sounds strange to say. So consume as much as you humanly can around the course, because it will help you and it will benefit you when you watch across, the 4 days.
What I will say is a lot of people have picked up the game in the last 12, 18 months, right? And they may not have ever tuned into an Open Championship before. They've only seen little bits and pieces. And if you are tuning into this podcast and you haven't watched an Open Championship before, I'd be very surprised, but I'll say it anyway. It's what I also love about the Open is the courses that it's played on aren't your perfectly manicured courses like Augusta National, and that, like, I love my lawn looking good, but there's something nice about the ruggedness of an Open Championship. So when you turn on the TV this weekend, don't be surprised if there's brown on the fairway or brown on the greens, or the rough isn't perfectly manicured like Augusta National, right? It's golf as it was originally made. And I think, we've now gone down the path of golf courses having to be manicured within an inch of their lives. And, that doesn't do it for me in terms of, I think there's, again, going back to the Venn diagram example, there's courses of architectural brilliance and courses that are manicured between to the inch of their life, and Augusta National is the only one that I can think of in there. So I'm looking forward. That's what I look forward to, is watching pure links golf for 4 days.
More brown in the fairways, please.
Yeah, on the greens even. I'd love that. Bake them right out. So anyway, where do you want to start, KM?
Let's look at the conditions, because I think that's truly important.
It is.
We've laid the foundations. We've said all the things we said about the old course, but the reality is, you kind of previewed it with one of your comments earlier. It's a tick over 7,000 yards, I believe, or meters, one of the two. But it's not
Yep.
long, is the point. It's not long. So
Very short.
conditions are critical because without the conditions, we could see some low scores this week. But from what I have read and what I'm sure you're about to affirm is that not only have the course grounds crew done their job in terms of putting it in a position to firm up over the 4 days, but I believe the conditions are going to play ball as well.
On Friday and Saturday they will. So Thursday, if you're getting out early, and if you're if you're out at any time, essentially, if you can get out to a good lead on Thursday, you're going to be in a good spot. So you really need to make hay while the sun shines, literally on Thursday. So looking at about a max of 19 degrees and winds sort of between that 11 and 14 kilometer range. Moving on to Friday, things do look a little different. If you're out early, you're certainly going to be in. So we're looking at those in the afternoon / early wave. Early, that's what we want to look for. So on Friday, we're looking at a max of 19, cloudy, and so from about between 8 and 12, we're looking at 12 to 15 knots. Then after kilometers, and then after 12 o'clock, it picks up to between 17 and 20 kilometers. So changing very much in the afternoon. Similarly, on Saturday, doing the same thing. So Friday, Saturday going to be critical. Sunday, a high of 21, and the breeze sort of around 15 to 17 kilometers. Not a great deal of rain projected, which is great. Means it'll dry out nicely. So the weather playing ball on Friday and Saturday, which might create some carnage. So what do you think? What does that buoy you? Are you happy with that? And what do you think the winning score is going to be at?
Yeah, so I find it tough to get a read on a winning score when you've got a calm first day and then conditions days 2 and 3, because it's difficult to probably put a number on how much damage days 2 and 3 will do to a day 1 score.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if this is realistic. I'd love for the winning score to be in the single figures under par. Don't know if that'll happen.
No.
So let me be optimistic and say like 11 under.
I think the average winning margin of the Open, or the winning score, has been around 9.8 in the last handful of years, and the Opens at the old course are somewhere around the 15 mark. So that's probably more so where I'm leaning towards, particularly if the conditions aren't. I mean, that's a weather forecast, right? So things can change. So I'm going to go between 15 and 17 under as the winning score. What that doesn't take into account is how well the course is set up and where those pins are positioned. So if they're genuinely baked out, then we could see something closer to your score, which would make me very much excited. So
yeah,
bit unknown, I think, this one in terms.
I'm going to stick fat. I'm going to stick fat and say 11 under.
Yeah, I hope so. I really hope so. I really do.
Yeah, and I truly hope we see some carnage on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, I hope it gets up to like 40 k's an hour.
Yeah,
it's amazing. So
it's
all right.
Yeah. Yeah, let's fingers crossed. We shall wait and see. Now, it was remiss of me not to say at the top, we are, of course, hoping to see and be joined by our good friend Jed Morgan, who's making his Open Championship debut, and I believe he's St Andrews debut. So hoping to have Jed join us at some stage in this episode from the course. We'll see what happens, but we've got a few people on the case for us to get the big fella on the phone. So we shall wait and see, but that's probably a good segue, Drews, to talk about the Australians in the field. As is always the case, we tend to have a pretty deep field at this tournament in particular. Obviously, top 3, generally in the order of merit, win their way through to the Open Championship. And there's some names here. So from the top, Cameron Smith is the first player listed here. Adam Scott, And this is, I believe, based on world ranking. Obviously, Smithy 6, Scotty 46, Lucas Herbert, Mark Leishman, Minwoo Lee, Brad Kennedy, Jason Scrivener, the Scriv, Anthony Quayle, our good friend Quayle, Jed Morgan, Dimitrios Papadakis, who the owner of one of the great Open Championship stories, which he told on this podcast of his walk down the fairway with Tiger Woods. Matthew Griffin is the last man in the field. The 38-year-old gets his start in the Open Championship. So a good little list of Aussies there, Drews. I mean, clearly I think Smitty's the pick of the bunch in terms of chances, but I would think I never, ever count Leash out in these sorts of conditions.
No, absolutely true. The one I just think is coming in a little bit of form, albeit in very different conditions, is Anthony Quayle. So certainly wouldn't be surprised if he, I'm not saying top 10, top 20. I'm saying, makes the cut and puts in 4 solid rounds. So yeah, I wouldn't at all be surprised if Quayle had a forward showing from an Australian perspective. So
completely agree. Is there anything else before we cover our tips? I probably just want to spend, if we can, 2 minutes on Tiger Woods.
Okay.
So I don't think we should underestimate what it's taken for him to be here. I think he gave a press conference a little bit earlier in the week, how he spoke about like it meant a lot to him to get up for this tournament. He feels as though, given it's on a 5-year rotation, that it's probably, in his own words, probably the last time he'll play at what he described as a high level, and what it meant for that to coincide with it being the 150th Open Championship. So, I mean, we've said it ad nauseum. Every time we see him, we should treat it as if it will be the last, because it's a gift, given, the horrific accident that he had, that he's come back from. Not to sound crazy, it may actually be the last time we see him. Like, wouldn't surprise me at all. Like, had a run at the Masters, leg struggled, didn't play. I'm making sure I get this around the right way. Didn't play the PGA.
Didn't play the US Open, I think.
He
pulled
US
out of
Open?
one of them. Yeah, he definitely didn't play at Brookline. Remember, we called for
This is
him
true.
to step out of
So I played the
Brookline for
PGA and withdrew after 3 rounds.
Then didn't play Brookline.
So this is, he's geared himself up to play this tournament. I think he goes to Augusta because he is Augusta, really. But I reckon when he looked at it and he thought, St Andrews, 150th, flat as a tack, that's my best chance. And I reckon he's geared himself for this tournament. And I'm not saying, I'm going to put my cards on the table. He's not on my tips. I'm not saying he's going to win. I just think we might see something special. Even if we get a run out of him this weekend, I think it would be amazing in the context of this tournament and this platform this year to see him feature in a big way. And I somewhat expect that we will.
And it is one of those courses that, being shorter, he will have, that sort of shot shaping ability to kind of play it a lot differently than he had to play Augusta or Southern Hills or the other tournaments that he's played. I mean, it is interesting. I was just having a look there. He's at $67 alongside Bryson DeChambeau and Sung Jae Im. So it doesn't say much for Bryson and Sung Jae at the moment.
No, that's insulting to Tiger, I think, to be honest.
And just ahead of Gary Woodland at $81 as well. So, look, I agree. I will look forward to watching him in featured groups, and it'll just be great to see him playing an Open Championship, and it wouldn't at all surprise me. And in fact, it would probably make me very happy if he walked away after this tournament. Whatever, if that's after 2 rounds or 4, so be it.
Just an incredible IP as well. Like obviously he won this tournament at this course in the year 2000, I believe it was. He is so smart and needs to be because of where he's at in his career comparatively. But he will plot his way around this course across all 4 days, fingers crossed, and do it with a relative amount of mental comfort compared to a lot of players in the field. It's going to hurt. I think physically it always hurts now. It never won't. Mentally, I don't think he'll go through the anguish that others will go through at stages across these 4 days. And that shouldn't be discounted in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah, I just think remiss not to spend a couple of minutes to talk about the greatest player that's ever picked up a club, playing at arguably the world's best course on the occasion of the 150th anniversary of the tournament.
Yep.
Yeah, I think everything kind of lines up for us as fans and lovers of the game and viewers of the championship to really enjoy what could be a special few days for Tiger.
Agree. Well put.
Now, Drews, before we go any further, and certainly before we get to our tips, we're very fortunate. We flagged it at the top. We said we were hoping to fulfill a promise that was made some weeks ago now to speak to this man. He is, of course, the pride of the Lockyer Valley, the winner of the Australasian Order of Merit, all the way from Hatton Vale to the home of golf. I speak, of course, of our good friend, Jed Morgan. Jed, welcome.
Thanks, boys. I'm delighted to be on.
Now, quick question at the top, and it's a three-parter because we were hoping, we had lined this up about an hour and a half or 2 hours ago after your practice round this morning, but your tee time got bumped. Now, three parts to this question, as I said. Who bumped you? Were they aware that you, in fact, are the Australasian Order of Merit winner? And did they know that they'd bumped you, that you'd missed the first half of the State of Origin decider?
So, believe it or not, the Australian Order of Merit winner doesn't carry too far over here. Unfortunately, I hoped it would, but it absolutely doesn't mean shit. And it was Tiger, so I was on the range, and funnily enough, he comes up to me and goes, "Are you Jed?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm Jed." And he goes, "You took my tee time." I was like, "No, I didn't know if there was a spare spot." And he goes, "No, that was my tee time. I'm going to play and you can't play." I was like, "Well, righto."
Is that legit?
Like, it wasn't that cool. No.
I was like, right, I was ready to pack it up then, mate. I was ready to pack it up then.
I know. I'll show you a little view. That's the view out the players' room here. A couple of the open cars down there, the city just over the back here. Pretty nice little view from our little room in here.
That is outstanding.
Look at that. That is swish.
This is just the player stuff. But yeah, no silly bogus stuff with the tee time. I just tried to I had to book a tee time for the 10th, and then I was going to jump out real early just in front of everyone, and I should have done that. But yeah, I ended up having to join the group at 8:45, so that's why it was a bit longer. Sorry, fellas.
So how's it been? This is obviously probably a dream come true for you to go and play not only in an Open Championship, but play it at a place with the reverence of St Andrews. So I'm just curious. Obviously, we've played a couple of practice rounds. We haven't got to the real deal just yet, but has it met your expectations? Has it exceeded your expectations? How's it been since you hit the ground there in the town of St Andrews?
Yeah, it's exceeded. Last week we got in, it was obviously way calmer. We actually played last Thursday on the course, and playing it with no one on there. It was literally myself, Dimmy, and Sean Norris. Oh, no, he didn't play that. It was me and Dimmy actually for the first day, just playing. Took us a few hours. It was awesome. I did this thing where I played the course with no rangefinder. I just played one ball and played the course with no rangefinder or anything, just because I thought, well, fuck, they did it back in 1900s when this place was built, so I'm going to do it now. I just wanted to, change it up. And shot 4 over the first time, so then I did it again, and I had 1 under, so I was pretty happy with that.
Maybe new strategy for this week.
Well, yeah, it was nice. It was good.
How's I mean the RNA, mate? They're known, they're very they stick true to their tradition. How's the mullet been received on course? I mean, have you been not let in anywhere? I mean, you and Smithy are just
No,
rocking delicious mullets at the moment.
yeah, I know. His is a bit rattier than mine, but mine's kind of started growing to a nice mature one.
mature
If
mullet.
it even
Okay.
if it even gets mature. But no,
How-
they've been good here. They like mullet. The US are a bit more loud about it. They're a bit more loud and obnoxious about shit like that. But yeah, they're good here. They've been really nice fans.
How's the course looking at the moment, mate? Obviously, you've been on the ground, you've played a few times. Everyone sort of is talking about how firm and fast the conditions are. Obviously, we're expecting a little bit of wind on Saturday. But how's the actual course shaping up?
Yeah, it is. It's really firm and fast. Everything it's pretty difficult to hold fairways. So you hit it a great shot, and just because it's so firm and fast, there's so many little mounds in the fairways that it just rolls wherever it wants to roll. So it's actually, yeah, you wouldn't even need a wedge this week unless you go on those bloody bunkers. But yeah, it's firm, man. It's like the firmest I've ever played on for sure.
Let's stick with the.
I thought, not to name drop or anything, but I played with Phil today and asked him what his firmest open was, and he said Muirfield was just basically black underneath the surface, so the grass was pretty much dead. So
talk us through that. Obviously, an opportunity to pick the brain of a guy who's, one of the all-time greats, probably the second best player of this generation, only to arguably the greatest of all time, and a guy who's won Opens himself. So you walk around a place like St Andrews with the opportunity to talk to Phil for 18 holes. How was that?
Yeah, that was cool. I mean, the last 6 weeks has been a pretty big ride playing in all these tournaments, I guess, with all these top guys. So I'm trying not to really get caught up in seeing it as, I'm playing with Phil today or anything like that. I just want to get my business done and come back to the focus on the stuff. But it was so good being able to play with him, and I played with Bernd Biesberger, who I've become decent mates with, which is nice, and his caddy's with the legend. They're just normal guys. It's nice to see that they're obviously very good at what they do, but it's not like any different to anything we've done. They just do it more often, kind of thing.
You mentioned,
but yeah, he was great to play with, and I asked a few questions about the short stuff. Obviously, that's where he's a bit of a genius. And that was nice.
You mentioned the fans. It's often spoken about that they're a different caliber. The British golf fans, obviously, a little bit more respectful, a little bit more appreciative of probably the nuance and the niceties of the game, and a little less boorish than their American counterparts. Have you? I mean, obviously, you'll get a lot more of that across hopefully 4 days of competition. But have you enjoyed that and experienced that in your couple of practice rounds with as the numbers start to swell around the course?
Yeah, the numbers today were a bit bigger than yesterday, and obviously then bigger than Monday again. So I think tomorrow we'll kind of feel the full force of it. But yeah, they're very receptive, and they definitely don't yell random shit out as often as they do in America.
And what about the group of Aussies? So obviously, it's a pretty deep Aussie field, and you mentioned you got there with Dimmy and played around with him, and it's seemingly the last couple of days everyone's coming through with Scotty and Leash and Smithy, and then obviously you've got Quayle as well there, who you're good mates with. So good to see a great Aussie contingent there.
Yeah, it's normalizes, I think, the situation for me, which is what I like. It's just we're all just there trying to do the same thing from the same place, and we all want each other to do really well. I got a really good group, I think, with Ryan Fox. And I got very generous tea times, which is nice also. So that'll help again, and my whole family's here as well, so it all helps. The big Aussie field, nice as well. So it's good to see so many familiar faces, and yeah, it's cool.
I don't want to put any pressure on you, mate, but have you thought about that first tee shot yet?
It's a pretty big fairway, so if I miss it, I'm fucking walking off.
Because I mean, as you mentioned,
yeah,
you got a group with Foxy and the 1989 Open winner in Mark Calcavecchia,
Yeah.
I believe, looking.
I
So
know, that's cool.
that's pretty handy group. Have you kind of thought about it? Obviously, you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself and live in the moment sort of thing. But have you thought about it at all?
I'm gonna say no, not really. I'm trying to like just. I wouldn't think about it if it was the Aussie Open or like even 6 months ago, the Queensland Amateur or something like that. I wouldn't have thought about who I was playing with there. I just would have sort of said, yeah, it's a cool group. It's nice. But I get me in the first couple of tournaments here, I was kind of like, shit, I'm playing with them. You find yourself watching them. So I just want to see them as just like they're doing the same shit I'm trying to do. And but it is sick to play with an Open champion and someone probably arguably the best player in the world at the moment in Foxy. He can't finish outside the top three, that bastard.
Mate, it's Marshy's roughie for the week is Foxy.
Oh, mate, they reckon he's pretty decent in the wind too, so we'll see how it goes.
How's the
Second
town?
to me.
That'd be nice, mate. I'll tell you what, Jesus, the parties in St Andrews. If you were holding the claret jug, holy shit! I think I might even be on a flight over there, mate, to join.
Yeah.
To join.
Won't be leaving here for a week.
I wouldn't have thought so. What's the town like, mate? It must just be a buzz at the moment because obviously the 150th Open at St Andrews. It's a very special moment for golf.
Yeah, the town's awesome. I've only ever been here in summer. I've never seen it all in winter. And summer, the place is buzzing regardless. So it's obviously there's 300,000 people coming here this week, and they've got this little town that probably around 40,000 people live in, which is pretty crazy. You're timesing that by 6 basically this week, and it's you wouldn't want to play an Open anywhere else, that's for sure. This will forever be, I don't know, the best major championship I'll ever play in, probably. So I'm happy about that.
I'm curious, not to harbour too much on the course, but obviously, like you've grown up watching golf, we get the rare opportunity every 5 years to see an Open here. Outside of watching it, I'm sure you've done your study, but these practice rounds, are there any holes in particular that have, sat you on your ass? You kind of stand up on the tee, you think, Jesus, this is everything that it's cracked up to be. Like, I think mainly probably the holes coming home, because I think underestimated the holes going away from the town, but so much gets made as you're walking back to the town, whether it's 12, 15, 16, 17. Like, it's such a great back nine there.
Back nine is no joke. Like, I've never seen the rough this long as well. Like, it's pretty long. It's generous because they know obviously how difficult it can be, but it's still quite difficult, and you've got to drive your ball. But it's also tough because you got to choose your flight of your ball, and you've got to hit that flight. Or if you don't, because if it's too low, it's running everywhere. And those 15, 16, 17, 18, obviously the pinnacle. But holes like 12, 11, they're crazy hard into that wind. And then you've got 14, you've got to drive it as close to the out of bounds as possible just to hold the fairway at the moment. If you hold it any further left of a metre right of the fairway, basically, it's running straight through into the rough. And I think just shots like that are going to be pretty tough coming home, especially if you're in contention. So I look forward to that, and I hope I'm in that position.
Who's carrying the sticks for you this week?
I've got one of my best mates who's done the whole trip with me so far. Joel Sully, he's a golfer back home as well. So he's in the Queensland Academy of Sport and stuff. And I just wanted to have someone familiar. I did a pretty lengthy trip last year to the US, and I just wanted to have a familiar face there the whole time. And yeah, he's been good. He's loved every minute of it.
And probably just one last one from me before I throw it over to Drudes. But I'm curious, you mentioned before that this will probably be, obviously we hope to see it be a long and flourishing career for you, but you may never get a grander stage than an Open Championship at St Andrews. So how do you balance the desire to take that in and soak that up, but also, compete? Because you're not there to play 2 rounds. You want to be there on Sunday and you want to be pushing at the end. So How's your mindset going into balance? I need to soak this in because I may not get this chance again, but also I want to make sure that I'm giving myself every opportunity to be there at the business end.
Yeah, I mean, I think about how cool it was, I think, at the end of the week, whenever I end my week. But at the moment, I'm just kind of ignoring the cool aspects of it. I think I've always done that when I've played well. You don't really care where you are, you're just trying to play well. And you can't take, I mean, for me anyway, some guys might do it better than I do, but I can't take it in and try and play well at the same time. It's kind of one or the other. So, like, you play your first two kind of practice rounds, just trying to absorb it all, and then once Thursday comes, you kind of just ignore it all and see it. It's just you're going out and playing 18 holes. You don't really. It's kind of having that bit of stubbornness inside your own mind, I think, to just say it doesn't matter. I'm just going to go play well today.
Last one, and we'll let you get out of here. Last one from me, I should say. How's the last handful of months been since we last spoke to you? Like, it's been a whirlwind. You've obviously been over in the US. You've played the US Open, which I'm sure was a phenomenal experience. You've played a couple of live tournaments as well. I mean, I'm sure it's been a whirlwind, but can you kind of describe the last couple of months for us?
Yeah, I'm so grateful for it. Didn't think it was going to turn out as well as it has. Obviously, the performances haven't quite fallen my way. The golf's it hasn't been as bad as what some of the scores have looked, but I'm just in a different environment. I didn't really expect to do that fantastic, to be fair. I would have liked to, but you kind of just got to take a seat back and absorb a lot of it whilst trying to figure out a couple of things and coming to terms with that's where it's at the moment. And yeah, just it's been awesome. Like, the things I've got to see, experience, play against is nothing short of awesome. So hopefully the golf improves this week and I can top that off and head into New Jersey with some good form, that's for sure.
Now, I know I said I had no more, but you kind of teased us a little bit there with a story about the cat. Have you had any run-ins? Have you had any run-ins in this week? Because objectively speaking, from 15,000 miles away, it's difficult to tell seemingly who the biggest circus is around at present between himself and Rory walking around the grounds of St Andrews. But some of the videos coming out of Tiger, we kind of spoke about it earlier in the week, since he's got there to St Andrews kind of at the back end of last week, have been unbelievable. And it's just almost like a homecoming, which sounds strange for a guy that's, grew up in Southern California, but it just seems like he's home.
I know. I've only seen him once, and that was pretty cool to see him for the first time, because now he's a real person to me. I've only ever seen his highlights and everything like that. And I was making a joke with my caddy before. He said the same thing. He's like, he's not real until we've seen him and we saw him. It's cool seeing them, in this environment. That's for sure. I saw him. We obviously didn't play the US Open because that would have been a bit full on for him, and he looks a bit rough, unfortunately. Like, I think his legs giving him a few issues, but it's so good to see him out here. Everyone's gonna go nuts. Just adds to everything, doesn't it?
It most certainly does, mate. Look, we greatly appreciate you fulfilling a promise you made some months ago.
I don't break him, mate. I don't break him.
No, you're a man of your word, and we enjoy every opportunity that we have to speak to you, mate. We're certainly looking forward to seeing you walk around the home of golf. I think it's also really nice that you have your family there, which is wonderful. So I hope you enjoyed that experience. And I feel like we say it every time, but feel like proud parents. I know you got two, and I'm sure they love you, but it's
two
wonderful.
Could be good parents, I reckon.
It's wonderful, mate. So, like, really, really, really proud of you ahead of time, no matter what happens, and hope you go well. And just finally, please do give our regards to Ellie, who continues to come through the goods for us.
She does, doesn't she? She does a good job.
She's outstanding. Ellie.
She organised the whole thing, so definitely very grateful for her. I'll just give you one last view of the place I'm at, just over there. It's 18, just over there.
Look at that.
Beautiful.
Just in St Andrews, every boys.
That's delightful. Well, mate, as I said, really appreciate your time. Try and
get off the phone now and get yourself across to the Dunvegan or the Jigger Inn, see if they've got the second half of the Origin on for you. And
just watched the last 10 minutes of the first half. It was 12-10, sorry. So
yes,
need to get their fucking acting.
absolute carnage. Absolute carnage. Anyway, mate,
Yeah.
all the best. We thank you as always, and we look forward to having a chat to you again soon. Good man, Jed.
No, thanks, boys. Thanks for making time again.
All right.
Tips. This is always the. I mean, we're coming off. You're only as good as your last start, Treads.
I know. This is what I was just going to say. Maybe we've got to talk ourselves up a bit more here. Where do you want to start? Where do you want to go first?
I would like to go to won't win. Why don't you kick me off with your won't win?
All right. So I have followed a pretty sort of, in going back through the last handful of winners, there's some clear trends that I think I and others have perhaps identified.
Yes.
On some of this. So it's very much a form players tournament. You go back to and you look at Colin Morikawa last year had won. Where am I that I've lost him here? Sorry. So he'd finished second at the Memorial, fourth at the US Open, the Scottish Open, just completely irrelevant, and then came out and won the Open Championship. So and prior to that had 4 top 20s in a row. So anyway, all of that being said, my won't win is John Rahm. I'm happy to risk John Rahm this week. I don't think it's going to happen for the big unit. I know that we touched on his bad form at the Scottish Open, finishing T55. He did win the Mexico Open, which was some 3 and a bit months ago now. So, but coming into this, his last 5 starts have been that win at Mexico, then T48 at the USPGA Championship, T10 at the Memorial, T12 at the US Open, and T55. So just looking at that, I don't know. I just don't get the feeling that it's going to all click for John Rahm this week. So I'm happy to risk John Rahm.
Okay. Look, it's a good tip. I think he's third most strokes gained at majors since the beginning of 2020. So
yeah, look,
he plays well. Plays well, but hey, this is what we asked you to do. We really want John to come second. That's what we want here.
That's what we want.
That's what we want.
All right. Who have you got?
I probably telegraphed this a little earlier in the week. I've telegraphed a few of my tips actually for this championship. Probably telegraphed this one earlier in the week. Xander Schauffele will not win the Open Championship. Now, obviously, he's the talk of the town. Back-to-back wins the Travellers and the Scottish. 3 wins in a row if you count the JP McManus Pro-Am at the Dan Manor in Ireland. Highest finish of T2 in an Open Championship back in 2018. There's also a good little stat here from Justin Ray. This is kind of more your bag. Mm-hmm. This is form lines. So where the winners of the Open Championship since 2010 have played the week before the tournament.
Okay, hit me.
7 winners have played the Scottish Open the week before. 2 have played the John Deere Classic, which obviously a bit of a shift in schedule. That was last week, not this weekend, just gone. And 2 players have taken the week off.
Okay.
So in terms of form line, winning the Scottish Open, as we kind of said earlier in the week, stacked field. So he's looking good on that respect. Where he falls down, and this is the ultimate proof, Druids, that you can say a stat to suit almost any argument, right? Because I give you that stat, and then I give you this stat from exactly the same man, Justin Ray. Xander Schauffele is the 6th player in the last 10 seasons to enter a major coming off consecutive wins in the PGA Tour start. Nice. So Tiger Woods did it in 2013 at the Masters. He finished T4. Rory McIlroy did it at the PGA in 2014. He won it. Spieth did it at the Open Championship in 2015, T4. Jason Day at the Masters in 2016, T10. Dustin Johnson at the Open Championship in 2016, T9. And Xander Schauffele this year. So of players coming in off consecutive wins into this tournament in the last 10 years, only Rory McIlroy in 2014 has gone on to make it a 3rd win in a row at the Open Championship.
Interesting.
I'll underline this by saying everything that I've said about him in the past. He's a phenomenal player, incredibly consistent week in, week out on the PGA Tour. However, if you look at the amount of top 5 finishes in a major without having gone on to convert, it proves to me that he is not a step closer. He may, in fact, be a step further away. So Xander Schauffele will not win the 150th Open Championship.
I like it. It's a good pick. I was after he won today, I was actually going to change my tip, and then I saw that you'd gone for Xander, so I was like, we've got it covered. One of us has got it.
Drews, who do you want to win?
Scotty Scheffler. I told you he was my want to win for the remaining 3, so I'm sticking
Rest
true.
of the year.
I just love to see him just cap off one of the all-time great heaters with an Open Championship win, and it would be unreal to have him win both the Masters and Open Championship in the 1 year. So, for no other pure reason of self-indulgence, I am going for Scotty Scheffler as my want to win.
Excellent.
That's it. That's as simple as I'm keeping it. Who'd you go?
Cameron Smith.
Yep.
So, obviously, parking aside my standing answer to this question being Flair Jordan, I just don't think it's going to happen this week.
No.
I spoke about the roller coaster of the Scottish Open, and I get the sense we might be about to jump on another one at St Andrews with Jordan. So I'm pushing all my chips in on the wonder from Montema. Did you see the photo that's been doing the rounds? I don't know who posted it first. It's always hard to tell in the viral age of social media, but it was like a still image at sunset of him. It was like quite up close. It was almost like a profile shot from the side of his mullet, like flowing in the wind at St Andrews.
No, I saw the DP World Tour put out a video of him practicing with no hat on, and the mullet was flowing, and that was outstanding.
Yeah. So this image I saw, I would strongly encourage any budding artist in Australia to recreate it as an Archibald Prize entrance for next year, because it's exceptional.
You'll have to find it and send it to me, because it sounds like it could be a new profile picture.
I think it might be. So let me do that.
Please.
I'll once we get off here, I will find the image I'm talking about and I'll send it to you. I think that'd be something truly I can't tell you how disappointed I was when the ball went in the water at 12 at Augusta earlier this year. Like, I felt like I tipped him beforehand. We went in as confident as I've ever been of him winning a major, and that stung. And shit, I was just watching. I can't imagine what that did to him. But he strikes me as the kind of guy who, like he said it straight afterwards, it makes me hungrier. I'm not discouraged by this performance. I'm actually quite buoyed by it. Like, I know that I have the game to win a tournament, the biggest tournaments on the calendar, and that's what I want to go and do. Hasn't necessarily delivered the tournament since, but this one for me, I think it will require. It requires a lot of smart decision making. It requires you to execute your shots. It's going to require your fair amount of scrapping, because you're going to put yourselves into some positions that are unenviable that you don't want to be in, and it will be your ability to get up and down, walk away with a par, and move on to the next. Which I don't know that there's anyone better in the game at doing than him. So I think he has. I certainly think he has the game. I think there'd be a level of romanticism for the Brisbane Bronco loving. Self-proclaimed bogan from Brisbane getting up at the old course at St Andrews in the 150th anniversary Open Championship. And I think it would be a crowning moment for him that we as Australian golf fans have felt is coming for a while, and may well, open the floodgates from a majors perspective for him.
I agree with everything you've said there. The one thing that worries me about this course is, I know it's short, but you have to make smart decisions, and that's been my biggest knock on Smithy this year. Has been there have been a lot of times where the decision that he and Pinot, his caddy, have made poor decisions, and it's cost him tournaments and it's won him tournaments. So it's either going to go, one of two ways, as silly as that sounds. He's either going to play himself into this tournament by hitting really risky shots, or he's going to find himself on the other side of the cut line. So I hope it's the first option.
Look, I think what will be key for Smithy if I had one criticism of my second favorite player, it would be that he has the propensity to compound bad decisions. So he'll make a bad decision, or maybe it's not even compound bad decisions. He doesn't execute, but then he compounds it with a bad decision.
Mendoza's.
He does Mendoza a little.
Mini
There's
Mendoza.
No doubt about that. Mendoza's more like within
Mendoza's
a hole
like hole
or
to
two
hole.
holes.
Yeah.
As opposed to a string of 5 bad holes.
So it's an in-hole Mendoza.
Yeah. And more so than most courses in the world, this place will punish you for the second bad decision. It's okay to make one. It's about your next shot. You must execute the next shot. And that to me, his ability to keep a level head, his ability to lean on pinner, make some smart decisions. And if we don't execute, or if we make a bad one, really, really think through that next one.
Agreed.
All
right.
Let's go Will. We'll go Will because we'll leave a bit of value for the punters at the end.
We always do that. So as I mentioned, I went back and had a look at obviously the past winners of this and some of the form lines that are around it. So clearly the thing that stood out to me is you've got to be in form coming into this. Must have had a recent win. And had a recent sort of run of top 10s. Spieth had it in 2017. Shane Lowry had a really good run of top 10s. I think he had three of his last 5 events before his win in 2019. Morikawa in 2021 finished in the top 5 of both the US Open and the Memorial, leading into his win. So all in all, KM, and look, this is one that bizarrely I actually feel half confident in putting his name down on paper, which is the complete opposite to what I normally do. But I am going to say Rory McIlroy for the winner of this year's Open Championship. He is the favourite, which I don't love. But in terms of form, he's obviously had a win at the Canadian Open most recently, and even dating back to the Texas Open. He missed the cut there, but then following that, finished second at the Masters, which was an incredible performance. 5th at the Wells Fargo, 8th at the PGA, inside the top 20 just at the Memorial. Won the Canadian Open, 5th at the US Open, and T19 at the Travelers. So he's in very, very good form. He's had that important win that I mentioned that all the players have had coming in. So I look, all things point to Rory McIlroy. That being said, all things pointed to Justin Thomas winning the Masters, and he completely cooked me. So could entirely happen to Rory, but I think there would be something very, very special. I think in some weird universe, if Tiger Woods was to win this, it would be one of the most incredible sporting moments in the history of sport. But 1B, if Rory McIlroy wins it, I think it will be very, very special for golf. So
I agree with you, and I won't lie to you. He sat very close to 2 of my picks. He was the follow up behind Cameron Smith in my want to win.
I thought you were going to say will and won't.
No,
both equally possible.
and he ran a close second to the player I'll talk about in a moment. To Will win. You look at again. You look at some stats to suit the argument. He's had 3 top 5s. Sorry, he's been in the top 10 3 times at the last 5 Open Championships, and then he's been in the top 5 at 5 Open Championships since 2009. So loves this tournament, loves it, and for a variety of reasons. Most notably, is a very favourable home crowd for him. So I think form in this tournament, form in the lead into this specific tournament. And there's been, I think, not an expectation, but a feeling that I've had for a period of time. Probably, I mean, the genesis of it was probably his singles win at the Ryder Cup.
Yep.
which I'm trying to remember. I think that was over Xander. I think he went out and panned Xander on the Sunday. From memory, that's probably the genesis of it. But there's been little milestones, along the way.
Mhm.
A notable one was his back nine on Sunday at Augusta. Where we spoke about at the time. I don't know that there's maybe two other players in the game that create a momentum and an atmosphere like he did that day. And you've just kind of rattled off his last couple of starts. I just feel as though we've been building to a big moment for him, and a moment that a win at a PGA Tour event wouldn't suffice. That's not the big moment I feel we've been building towards for him. If it's not going to be Augusta, which has been the elephant in the room for him, I think it has to be an Open Championship, and what better one to do it than here. So
yeah.
I think he's absolutely there. I got to be honest with you. The favoritism probably doesn't make me as nervous as it makes you. Eventually,
I just look at it from like, if people want value, don't
tip
Rory
him.
McIlroy.
100% don't tip him if you want value. We're going to give you that in a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of signs that are promising for Rory. So
yeah. Where did you go? Well, I mean, we all know where you've gone because it hasn't changed since.
And there's no science. There's no, I literally actually can't pluck you out a stat because other than the one that he won, he hasn't had a bunch of top fives or top tens in this tournament. His form's been okay in the last couple of weeks. I'll be completely transparent with you. This was based on Saturday at Augusta when the conditions went to shit, the wind started blowing, and he shot up the leaderboard. He was the player of the day in round 3 at Augusta National this year. And I think I said to you, from the wrap of the 2022 Masters, write it down, Shane Lowry is going to win the 150th Open Championship at St Andrews later this year. So what that says to me is I'm really heavily reliant on two things. Him not shitting the bed on the first day and actually getting a decent score under par, and then the wind really whipping up on Friday and Saturday. So if those two things happen, I'll be going into Sunday morning feeling pretty good about myself. I think he's in a good, you look at his social media, he's in a great headspace. I don't know that there's a guy who enjoys coming home. Obviously, home's Island, but this kind of 3 or 4 weeks, I know there's a guy who enjoys it more than Shane Lowry.
Yeah.
He's having a time.
He is.
Playing a bit of links golf, being back in the UK. So I don't think he could come into it happier. And I think particularly as not just a European player, as an Irish player, you come into those tournaments, it's a different level of expectation than any other player playing. Like I know, obviously there'll be a lot of attention around Tiger and probably Jordan Spieth to a lesser extent, Xander coming off some wins, but that crowd, that British golf crowd, they are all in on their own players.
Yeah,
and I think maybe
100%.
the ability to come in as having won the tournament prior, negates that a little bit as well. So
agreed. Yep,
I love him. He's obviously the spirit animal of this podcast, and I'd love to see it, but I don't necessarily have the stats or science to back it up as you generally do.
That is absolutely okay. It's one of those gut feel ones. Speaking of gut feel, roughies, right? This is where I like to. This is where I like to come alive. So look, not my tip, but I'll give you one at 111 that I always give you. And that is, where's he gone now? Oh, it was 111. Oh yeah, Paul Casey, 111. If he plays, may not play
this road again.
Not sure. But anyway, he's not going to win. But top 20, I don't know what that's paying. But have a look. My roughie is not as rough as I would like in terms of value, and neither's yours. I've just seen Max Homer. I've gone.
Okay.
Doesn't necessarily have that. He's got that win at the Wells Fargo, which is going back a little while now. Finished T5 at the Memorial. Obviously, the two majors in there, T13 at the US PGA and the US Open, finished T47. Okay, in Scotland last week, T16. So certainly playing good golf. He's at 46. I don't know if that's probably a little bit shorter than I would have liked for a roughie, but I'll give you Max Homer for my roughie this week.
Okay.
Who'd you go?
Two honourable mentions
Please.
before I go to my official roughie.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give you Seamus Power at $101.
Yep. Great call.
He, without necessarily notching up a bunch of wins, if you take a look back at the volume of Seamus Power's work in the last 12 months on the PGA Tour, he has come from the clouds to be, to be fair, probably behind Rory McIlroy, the former Irish golfer in the world at the moment, above the man I've just tipped to win, to be fair.
Yeah,
So he's an Irish golfer playing back links golf and paying $101. So I'd urge you to go and have a look at his results in the last 12 months and not talk yourself into at least a top 20 bet on Seamus Power.
Agreed.
So there's
Love
that.
him.
The next one I want to give an honourable mention to is a man who's had 2 top 10s at the last 5 Open Championships.
Okay.
And inexplicably, in my mind, is paying $61 at present. And that is big shot Robert McIntyre.
Great man.
$61 for a guy who's placed in the top 10 twice in the last 5 Open Championships. And he's playing back in Scotland. Hello, value.
Free money. They're printing it.
So, yep, Bobby McIntyre, put some money down there. But my official roughie is a man who will almost certainly claim as our own if he goes on to win the tournament. Is a man who placed second in the Irish Open 2 weekends ago, and a guy that goes about his business with an incredible lack of fuss, but is uber consistent. And that's New Zealand's Ryan Fox, who's paying 56 fat ones to win the tournament. So he's a bit like, I'm reticent to make this comparison. How I kind of said Leash will plot his way around the course. They don't have a similar game style, but that's very much Ryan Fox. Like we just spoke about the importance of making smart decisions. The guy won't make a bad one across 4 days. And that will count for more than you'd think on the totality of 4 rounds of golf at St Andrews. So I like his form of late. Incredibly consistent performer on the European Tour, which is obviously where a lot of these guys cut their teeth, spend a bit of time in the UK playing more so than most other guys. So I like Fox's chance of at least putting himself in the conversation come Sunday.
It's a great tip. I think if you have a look at his season to date, I mean, started kind of dodgily, but then won the Ras Al Khaimah Classic. I don't know where that was actually held, but then
probably not Scotland, but yeah,
no, it was in London. It was his run of form post that was T15, T9, T8, T2, 54th at the PGA Championship, second, miscut at the US Open, third, second, T47 at the Scottish Open. So you can't tell me that that's a half bad run of form to be coming in Open Championship. So I'm with you there. I like it, and it'd be very great to see him win. One more just to throw into the mix. Our good mate Punter Harmon, 151 to 1. I just think
Punter.
That's rude. So we'll
Holy moly. All right.
Anything else?
No, I think that'll probably do us. Other than just enjoy it. Like, I don't know if it's my old age. Maybe I'm getting old, but you just gotta soak these things up. Like as I said, and I've said it ad nauseum. It feels like in this podcast, this only happens every 5 years. Like this is not like Augusta. We don't get to see this place, every 12 months. So enjoy it. It couldn't be more friendly from a viewing perspective. So there's no excuses. I'm on a plane, which might be the only excuse. But I'm confident that my friends at Qantas might have a channel where it's showing live, I hope. So
they have Wi-Fi on the planes these days.
Yeah, to be fair, I flew. So my recent trip to Europe, I flew Emirates, and they actually had a live sport channel on the plane. And when I was leaving Brisbane, the night that I left, I boarded the plane at 3/4 time of a Demons game, and I watched the end of it on the plane. And then, like some stupid amount of time later, when I was still flying, I think I was flying into Vienna from Dubai, and I was watching the Dockers Lions game live. So technology is an amazing thing.
Technology.
Yeah. So I'm hoping it's the 150th Open Championship. We've got 8 or 9 Aussies in the field. Surely the Red Rat has it on some sort of live channel as I'm flying over to France. So we'll see. But I will join you, Druids, from Chartres, which is about an hour outside of Paris, for our review show of the Open Championship. Should be good.
We'll work that all out.
We'll see. Pending Wi-Fi. Obviously, it was a little bit of a gamble for my recent European trip, but I'm hoping, proximity to one of the world's major cities in Paris. Hopefully, we should have a bit better connection.
We'll make it work, and obviously, you'll be away for an extended period of time this week. This time around as well. So you'll
off to the games of the Commonwealth, Our Majesty the Queen.
Yes, you are. So you'll be away. You'll be absent from the show, probably. I would suggest you're a very busy man, KM, for a little while, but we'll get you in when we can.
Definitely for the period of competition from 28 July onwards.
Correct.
I might sneak a little bit of a review of the Open Championship and maybe one the week after. But yeah, it'll be radio silence once we're on the ground in Birmingham.
I agree with you. Anyway, enough about your travel schedule. Let's get out of here.
All right, mate. Always good. Enjoy the Open, and we'll come back on Monday night to wrap it all up.